A sneaky SEC slate in Week 10 and the aftermath of Brian Kelly being fired at LSU. Chris Marler joins us. Locked On SEC starts right now.
You are Locked On SEC, your daily podcast on the Southeastern Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And what's up, everybody? Welcome to Locked On SEC. It's great to have you guys along. I'm Chris Gordy. Thanks for making us your first listen every day. Shout out to everydayers. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. And, of course, now we are available on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, broadcasting daily across Alabama, Louisiana, Mississippi. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. As we dive into it, our buddy Chris Marler joins us, as he does each and every week, to talk all things SEC. We'll get into the SEC slate this week, Marler. But first, your reaction to what transpired here in the last 72 hours or so as Brian Kelly out at LSU.
I didn't know what you were going to go into there for a second. I thought you might be talking about that monkey that got loose on the dang highway today. Did you see that?
I did see that, yeah.
In Louisiana, there's a bunch of monkeys carrying diseases running rampant through the state. Anyway,
I mean, what's the worst that could happen? A global pandemic?
The three things that monkey had, I have questions of how he got those diseases. But that's an episode for another time. So it was interesting. I was telling you off air, and I'll share it with the audience in the class. This was something about a week ago we heard from people around the program that was like, yeah, the direct quote was, there is no appetite to pay that amount of money for this buyout. There's just no appetite for it. And it was like, okay. And then that quickly turned into a week later, we're paying the buyout. And around like 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, finding out that like he is going to be announced that he's losing his job later today. And I was shocked. I mean, I was shocked because it happened. It's not like it happened so fast, but he went from being like pretty firm in his job, like a good start to the season, stuff he need to work through, but to then being like, oh no, this has like the ability to go off the rails. But I just thought that on Sunday, I thought the only stories I was going to be writing was that Joe Sloan was fired and that maybe the offensive line coach would have been fired or something like that. But those things didn't happen. And him being replaced instead, I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. It is, I will tell you from somebody geographically close to the situation over here in Baton Rouge, it's not anything that is like, most of the rumors that I have seen on social media are not true. Like the stuff about the buyout, the stuff about some of the way that things went down in the meetings and the contentiousness between how they told him and how it unfolded. None of that happened, but it is still very interesting the way that it happened pretty quickly.
I will say the interesting part will be with the buyout, because a lot of people have cited the morals clause. And what we know for fact, Brian Kelly filed for divorce, and his wife filed for divorce, and then reneged it. And there was a lot of rumors about what happened behind closed doors there. And I'm not wanting to get into all that. All that to say, there might be something, and some people have that in these contracts where, hey, if you have this or this with a morals clause, we can get out of this. So I've said it from the get-go, LSU ain't paying him $53 million to go away. I know that was the headline.
Yeah.
They're not paying him that much money. It's going to come down. It may be a lump sum buyout, or we'll find out when time comes. But for now, they're going to keep paying him 8 checks for $800,000, which is pretty close to what we make doing these podcasts. So it's really cool.
Yeah, I feel bad for him. You know, he's not on the level anymore. I think it's like $808,000 a month. And so the picture of him at Superior Grill yesterday was just a chef's kiss.
Why not get the hell out of town? Why would you go have dinner in town?
Honestly, all jokes aside, because like everyone was like, there's no way, that's a ballsy move to be out there. Like they fire you and you're out here, gallivanting around town. It's like, dude, that is like the most confident thing I've ever heard in my life. To get fired and then go show up at one of the most like popular restaurants in the city the next day. Like, good for him, man. I wish I had that confidence. I wish he had that confidence earlier on in the season, really. But yeah, it's odd. I think the bigger question is like, who do they go after next, and then where do they go from here? Because I think this is the best job that's open.
Before we get into that, because this is how funny how quickly things change. Marler, if we did a show in August and we were ranking our top 10 coaches in college football, James Franklin and Brian Kelly would be in the top 10. So, now they're both unemployed. Because I had somebody ask me this week too. They said, Brian Kelly's 3 losses are all to top 10 teams.
Right.
How do you get fired for that? And I said, well, the reality is, yes, But LSU was supposed to be one of those top 10 teams. Like, there's no shame in losing, but they spent $17 million on NIL. You had all, whatever it was. You bring back fifth-year senior quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. You get all these returning pieces. This was supposed to be the year forward. And and let me say this. Most people were not expecting him to go undefeated. The expectations of Baton Rouge was 10-2 at worst, make the playoff. If you go 11-1 and play for an SEC title, great. We'll take that. It wasn't even win a national championship, which is what Nick Saban, Ed Orgeron, and Les Miles all did by year 4.
Yeah.
It's just make the playoff. It was simple as hell. 10-2. You get over the finish line. You're in the playoff. Everybody was like, you can lose to Bama. You can lose to another game somewhere else. But you lost to Vandy, Ole Miss, and A&M, and you got blown out by A&M at home. So I don't blame the LSU boosters for this. Wasn't a rash decision. I mean, although it happened quick, this was bro, we gave you 4 years and you couldn't get it done. If you'd asked me when he got hired, Marler, will Brian Kelly win a national championship in the next 5 years? In fact, I was asked that. I said hands down yes, because the 3 previous coaches all did it.
It's hard to win a national championship. But I don't disagree with you. I remember doing a deep dive on this for Auburn a couple years ago, and they were all mad at Brian Harsin. And most of that had nothing to do with reality or the football field aspect of it. But then one of the things but I was like kind of defending Auburn. I was like, hey, one of the reasons why Auburn has these like unrealistic expectations is that every coach dating back to Pat Dye at Auburn has at least competed for or like won a title of some sort, whether it be division, whether it be a conference, a national title, or gone undefeated. Pat Dye did it by year 3. Terry Bowden did it in year 1. Tommy Tuberville, he won the SC West by year 3. Then he also went undefeated. Gene Chizik did it in year 2. Gus Malzahn had a national championship in year 1. So there's precedent for why you would have these like unreasonable expectations. What you just said, Coach O did it. Coach O did it, right? Like Saban did it when Saban is the GOAT. So you can, it's hard to like really be like put those comparisons together. But the thing that bothered me more than anything was, this is a situation where last year we talked about this a bunch with Ohio State. Well, the only reason they won is because they had a $20 million roster. And you start looking at who else had that. Texas, Penn State. Those are all teams that went to the college football playoff. And I think all 3 got to the semifinal. And then obviously Ohio State won the national title. And it's like, well, in this day and age, if $20 million roster should do it. Man, they brought in so much talent. I was asked this repeatedly at the start of the year about like what I thought about LSU and where they stood. And I said the same thing over and over. And I was like, they were ranked number 9 preseason, and they were right behind Bama. They were kind of tethered to Bama for most of the year, or for most of the preseason at 8 and 9. And I kept saying, I don't know if there are 8 teams better than LSU. I don't know that yet. I know for a fact there are not 8 rosters more talented than LSU. And I, at 5-3, will still maintain the talent on this roster was top talent. And that part is like where you have a frustrating into, because you're right about the thing. It's like, you lost 3 games to top 10 teams, but guess what's on the horizon, man? Another top 5 team in your next game. You got Oklahoma still on the docket. That's just kind of life in the SEC. And by the way, when you get to the playoff, they're all top 10 teams. And so, for besides 2, I guess, but you know what I'm saying? So it's very tough, I think, to go into this year 4 and then have it be a situation where I think it's similar to what I keep saying with Beamer over at South Carolina, which is like, I don't need you to necessarily win games. At LSU, you did. I need Beamer to sit here and make like progress each week. I need Mike Shula to show some sort of progress. It's one thing to have that at South Carolina. When you're showing up at LSU and you're winning games with 5 interceptions by 10 points, and then you're losing to Vanderbilt because you are not defensively like man enough to stop them, or offensively man enough to run the football all year long. I mean, there's the door. And so personally, I told you this off air. Never had any sort of bad interactions with Brian Kelly. Was always very nice to me. So that's all I have to say about that. But I understand the frustration that a lot of people had with him.
Yeah, we had him on the show a couple times, and even behind the scenes chatting with him. He's very, very personable. I was taken aback when I first met him. I'm like, I heard, whatever, seemed like a D head. I thought he was really cool. Like, I thought he was very nice and was funny, would make dad jokes and all that kind of stuff. It just wasn't people said it wasn't a fit. And I pushed back on that. I'm like, we don't need the Cajun coon ass who, rah, let's go. And that's what Coach O was. And obviously that worked. But like, you don't need to be that. But it just wasn't a fit. It was square peg, round hole. It just didn't connect.
I think the other part too is one of my coworkers, Hunt Palmer, did an article about this the other day. I thought it was a good point. I don't think you're wrong. Also, that shirt rules, by the way. I'm just piecing that together. I don't think you're wrong with the fit, because I think that can be a thing that is a positive benefit if there is a good culture fit at different places. I also think just his decision making, firing Tommy Moffitt off the bat, letting Denbrock walk the way he did to go to Notre Dame. Like, there's just so many things where it's like you just missed a couple of windows where you probably should have been able to win. I don't think any of us thought that in year one was the year you were going to have your most success, because it was like, oh my God, if you won in year one with this talent, if you would have said after year one, you beat Bama, you won 10 games, and by the way, coming back next year, you're going to have 2 first-round receivers and a Heisman Trophy winner at quarterback, you would have assumed they were playing for the national title at the very least. And so there just were some failures, I think, that in this day and age at a place like this, that they're too much. I will tell you this, as much as I push back on the fit versus the decision-making thing, there are also, I think there's a lot to be said for coaches that do have a fit, that really love where they are and want to be there. And I think that is what stood out to me most about Coach O's time here. He didn't run a tight ship, but like, he loved Louisiana and loved LSU more than almost anything besides blondes. So it's like, I thought that was a really good way for him to run the program.
Real quick before, because we're going to get to the slate this week, but let's take a look. These were the latest odds. JOHN SUMRALL, and let me just say this: LSU ain't hiring a coach anytime soon, so there's plenty of time to digest this and all this. But JOHN SUMRALL from Tulane, they're pinning one sportsbook as the favorite. Joe Brady number 2, Lane Kiffin number 3. The problem here, Marler, is the timeline.
Right.
The first week of December is signing day, and then first week of January, is the lone transfer portal. There's no 2 transfer portals. So, like, you got to get to work quick. If you're Lane and you're at Ole Miss, you're going to the playoff, but you want the LSU job, I mean, I don't think they could come out and make an announcement and go, Lane Kiffin's going to be the LSU coach, but he's going to stay and finish at Ole Miss. Ole Miss is going to run him out of town. Be like, get the hell out of here. You're going to your rival. We're not going to let you stay here and coach the playoffs. So how does all that work if that's one of the, if one of those names is who LSU wants?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the schedule wise how it is, how that's going to work. I don't like. I think Dan Lanning is out of reach. I don't think that's happening.
And he's got Nike money. He's not leaving up there.
Right. And there's also a plan. Like, I know Pate was talking about this the other day. There's like a way they have their setup is like, there's like, it really goes against why somebody would want to leave, just in general, but also with the way they have their contractual obligations, stuff like that set up. I don't think that you're getting him. Saban's not coming out of retirement. I still say you make the call. People keep, this is lost on some people. I make the call regardless to Saban and throw out something astronomical, even if I don't have the money to see.
I said 2 years, $40 million, and then you start a GoFundMe, and LSU fans will raise the money.
Find a coach in waiting and go from there. And then the other thing I would say is this: you're also 1,000% right. You don't think Jeff Landry is corrupt enough to go figure out a way to get Saban with money? 1,000% would. There are some people around the program that think this thing all in is going to be about $100 to $115 million process if they go out and get a big coach like that. If they do, I think that figuring out a way to go get Kiffin is at the top of the board. Drinkwitz, I think, is a good get. I don't know if you're just talking about a culture fit. I don't know if people are down here are willing to believe that he's a good enough culture fit. I think he's a great coach, though. I personally think James Franklin is a good coach, especially at turning things around. People sit here and want to crap on him for not winning top 5, top 10 games all the time in the Big Ten. But there's a lot of programs that are sitting here like looking down their nose at James Franklin on that list and saying, he can't win the big one. It's like, tell me you wouldn't trade 10-win season after 10-win season after 10-win season with James Franklin. So Drinkwitz is one. I think there's also a couple guys you might get on the cheap that you might be able to do. And that is Dillingham, but I haven't really heard his name at all.
I like him a lot. I do
too. And he's got a reason to leave because they're not giving him any NIL money. But again, what's weird in this cycle, Gordy, is that in this cycle, you have some guys that would be great fits. Jeff Brom is a guy that gets a lot of love. Clark Lee is a guy that gets a lot of love. Kenny Dillingham. Well, those 3 guys are all coaching at where they played. And that is that's a little bit more of a tough sell to uproot somebody from that spot of where they were if you want to get them to your school and they have no ties to it.
2 on those real quick. I talked to somebody at Louisville, said, take Brom off your list. He ain't leaving. That's somebody at Louisville said that. And then 2, Clark Lee, look, done a fantastic job. I'm rooting for Diego Pavia. I want Vandy to run the table. I think it'd be an awesome story. I think this comes crashing back down after this year. I think this is a great story, but Clark Lee with no Diego Pavia, I think this thing comes back down to earth.
Hopefully it doesn't, and they continue to do what, like, it's a great story, and I think it's better for college football, that like what they've been able to do. It's awesome. But like, do I think Clark Lee is the person to be in charge of LSU? No, I don't. I don't at all. The other one too, I'll tell you this, Sumrall is interesting because I know he has the best odds. I think Sumrall is the first person I would go get out there and try to, go after. Spears not going down very well. I think he's a perfect fit for Auburn too. There is something about people in Louisiana, I didn't know this until I moved here, where they kind of do look down on this idea. It's like, well, if he coached at Tulane, he can't coach here. You kind of got a little bit of that with Napier when he was at Louisiana.
Right.
Like he wouldn't be a good fit to coach at LSU. I don't necessarily agree with that. I'm just telling you what the temperature is here.
That would be like if somebody was like Kane Womack. I heard people sniff, or look down at that when Bama hired her because like the South Alabama coach, that's going to be our DC. So, but again, it's one of those things. In state, you kind of look down on the other in-state schools.
Kalen DeBoer to LSU for personal reasons would be hilarious.
Yeah, okay. And Saban returns to Bama.
Yes. Now we're talking.
Ryan Grubb would be interesting if he got a little interest. But...
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we got to get into the SEC slate, full Week 10 slate. We'll get to with Marler right after this. More with Chris Marler in just a second, but first, Mazda. They craft cars for those who do more than simply move. Mazda delivers confidence with every ride with more IHS top safety pick awards than anybody else. From footwork to breathwork, athletes, they sweat all of the details. Mazda, they bring this same intention to how they craft every model. You can feel Japanese craftsmanship in every detail, from the metallic accents to the available Napa leather upholstery. You can make everyday drives feel like anything but, from smooth handling to intuitive controls. And with the all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Just like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. It is Mazda. Move and be moved. If you're looking for a new vehicle, check out our friends at Mazda. Move and be moved. I roll along here, locked on SEC. 6 games in the conference this week, Marler. And when I first looked at the slate this week, I went, oh, this is a terrible slate. Not just in the SEC, college football as a whole. I mean, College Game Day took forever to decide where they were going. They're like, Cincy, Utah, I guess. Like, that's how bad this slate is this week. But there's some sneaky good games. And so I want to start, we'll kind of build up with the games. I want to start with at 3 p.m. Central on SEC Network. It's 4-4 Mississippi State at 2-6 Arkansas. Neither team has won an SEC game yet. So something's got to give. Somebody's going to still be winless. Yeah. Somebody's going to finally get an SEC win. Gosh, Lebby and the Bulldogs were so close against Texas. At Arkansas, I think everybody and their brother picked Petrino to beat Auburn last week, and they couldn't get it done.
I did not. But my biggest bet on that was that Auburn would, of course, score over 27.5 points. Lock of the year. Jackson Arnold would, of course, score over a half a touchdown, which, thank God, he figured out a way to do that before he got yanked. Here's the thing. I know what you're saying, and I know that you're factually correct, but there's just a part of me that doesn't believe it to be true still when you say, yeah, of course somebody has to win this game, because I don't know if that's the case, Gordy. We don't know what these two teams are capable of. I feel so bad, Mississippi State. I was talking to one of my coworkers, a Mississippi State alum, was there at the Texas game, and she was talking about how awful it was, and because it's just so it's somehow more painful than the last loss they had in the way that they keep doing this. And then they brought up the fact that it was like, yeah, that's after they lost to Florida, after they lost to Tennessee. And I was like, oh, I forgot about Tennessee. Like, it's been one after the next. I like Arkansas's offense too much. I'll tell you right now, if Taylon Green has more than 2 turnovers, though, and he's been doing that a lot, give me Mississippi State. But it's at home for Arkansas, right?
Yeah, it's in Fayetteville.
Yeah, this is gonna be a fun offensive game, though.
Yeah, Jeff Lebby and Hugh Freeze have been saying for weeks, we're close. Yeah. Except Jeff Lebby actually means it. Mississippi State has been close. I think the Bulldogs get it done. For Petrino, man, it sucks. I thought this would be a great chance for him to prove himself as an interim, but it hasn't been great. I think Arkansas is going to go out and hire somebody this offseason. How about South Carolina at Ole Miss, the Rebels, are sitting in the catbird seat now. It's 7-1. They don't play really any tough games the rest of the way. South Carolina off a heartbreak, Marler. I mean, they had that game against Bama. They absolutely blew it. All the students came down and they were ready to rush the field, and then they had to leave with their head down. Ty Simpson giving them the old salute.
That was that video. I watched that video 100 times. It was painful.
Gamecocks got up for Bama. Like, is it over now? Like, do they go and just lay an egg at Ole Miss?
So the good part about Carolina is I do think that there's not a lot of quit in this team. I thought they would quit last week, and they showed up. The fans showed up. It was awesome. It's not like Ole Miss is coming off some, a bye week or coming off some like not very hard fought or tightly contested game. Like they're coming off a big road win against Oklahoma, and they're hearing more and more noise about Kiffin and if he's going to potentially leave or whatever. And here's the thing I know about Ole Miss, and you saw it last year. The hay feels like it's in the barn for Ole Miss. Like that was their last real test. I feel like go for the rest of the year. Who else do they have on their? They have South Carolina. They have Mississippi State. They have Florida, and they have one more that I'm missing. They get Florida at home, they get this one at home, and they get another one that I'm missing.
Citadel.
Beautiful. So they feel like I would think this season is probably over. You're facing a coachless team at Florida. Of course, you want to think you'll get up for the Egg Bowl, but this is like this is your last real. I think a lot of people think that Oklahoma was their last real test. South Carolina did some things last week to move forward, and progress was seen a little bit on the offensive side of the ball by just the most simple, basic things. Part of me wishes that Kiffin would just coach both sides, like playing all-time quarterback in backyard football, that he would just offensively coach both sides. Because I would love to see what Lenore said in that offense. I think Ole Miss wins that game. I just also think that South Carolina is going to come out and keep it a little bit more. A little bit closer, too close for comfort, I think, for Ole Miss fans for at least 2 to 3 quarters.
Yeah, South Carolina's defense, they played well, man. I mean, keep in mind, Bama's first touchdown was on a pick 6. So they stymied that offense for much of that game.
The edge rushers, man, are incredible. Not just Dylan Stewart either.
I wonder if this is maybe a Washington State thing again, where Ole Miss goes, wait a minute, we're heavy favorites. We're supposed to beat these guys. And South Carolina's like hanging around, and they won't go away. So I don't know.
It's a totally different state. What? It's not.
Yeah, I know. Ole Miss, I'll take them at home. Last game we'll talk about this segment, Marler, and this is for the true degenerates. This is for Guantanamo Bay torture, Kentucky at Auburn, 6:30 Central on SEC Network. You have to absolutely love college football to watch this game.
Or have a fiance whose birthday is on Sunday and she has to watch it. So this is me and you. It's our significant other bowl. Yeah, we were supposed to go, but we're not going. Thank God. But Auburn being a 10.5-point favorite against Air is shocking to me. I think it'll be interesting to see them starting someone different than Jackson Arnold. If they do that, I haven't heard if they announced that yet or not. But if they do, that's probably the right move. I think they should do that.
Ashton Daniels, right? Like he was good. I think you stick with him.
He's just not Jackson Arnold. Like you have to try something. You have to try something. And so I probably go that route. I've said this before. That, like, one of the things about Jackson Arnold, he's a dual threat quarterback coming out of high school. I think so is this other kid, Ashton Daniels. He probably is a little bit more fleet of foot. Him having happy feet, him like trying to run before, like keeping his eyes downfield, like some freshmen do, or some people that are new to the starting position do. I don't think that's a bad thing for this offensive line right now. Like if you're constantly under arrest, I would rather have that and him scrambling and trying to make a play a la like Taylor Green kind of, instead of just taking another sack like we saw with Jackson Arnold so many times this season. Cutter Boley is kind of balling out, dude.
Yeah.
He's averaged 70. He's completed over 77% of his passes in the past 2 games. He's just under 300 yards per game in those games. I like Kentucky to cover big time. I think that they are going to throw all over this Auburn secondary because the secondary is so bad. I also feel like Auburn should finally get the offense going. But, dude, I'm telling you, I thought the same thing against an Arkansas defense that's much worse than Kentucky's. And they struggled all game doing that. So
Jeremiah Cobb, I mean, he ran it well.
I don't think Hugh knows that he's allowed to run the football more than once in a row or twice in a row. Or you know what I'm trying to say. But I feel like if somebody walked up to Hugh and was like, "Hey, dude, you can you don't have to throw it. Your quarterback's
we got 6 yards on first down. All right, well, let's pass.
Yeah,
pass.
Shotgun, 4 wide. Is it 3rd and 12 yet? Can I run a draw? No, I think that they should turn around and hand the ball to that kid as much as possible. I also just get the feeling that that Kentucky's going to keep this one way closer than than Auburn's comfortable with, because Kentucky they found something on offense, and I think that I just don't think Auburn's offense is good enough to get by Kentucky. I just don't.
3 more games of the conference. We'll discuss them next with Chris Marler. Back to our SEC slate in just a second, but first, Peloton is shaping the future of fitness with the brand new Peloton cross-training tread powered by Peloton IQ. It is their most advanced equipment yet, designed to give you real-time guidance and endless ways to move, whether you're running, lifting, or cross-training with your favorite instructors. This is training reimagined. Peloton is built for breakthroughs with tools that help you plan, stay motivated, and reach peak performance. You're going to love how the Peloton IQ system offers real-time strength coaching. It actually tracks your reps, suggests the right weights, and corrects your form, making every rep safer and smarter. The swivel screen, it's a game changer. You can go from running on the tread to strength training without missing a beat. And the personalized class recommendations keep you engaged. You get workouts tailored to your vibe and energy level each week. So let yourself run, lift, flex, and push forward. Explore the new Peloton cross-training tread today at onepeloton.com. It's O-N-E Peloton, Peloton.com. All right, Marla, let's start here. A game that is, it's a rivalry game. You never know what you're going to get, but Georgia versus Florida from Everbank Stadium in Jacksonville. This will be the last one in Jacksonville for a couple of years, as they're going to go undergo some major renovations there. But this is our first game. It feels like forever since Billy Napier got fired. This is our first game with no Billy Napier, right? So what the hell are we going to get from this Florida team? We know what Georgia is.
Emotionally, I think Billy Napier's been gone for a while. At least that's how Florida fans think. Dude, Kirby Smart. Hold on. Let me. I knew I should have looked this specific thing up. We're gonna do some real time. It's really bad radio. Fill the air. Talk.
Yeah, Georgia, Florida. Georgia, number 5 in the country, 6-1. Florida, 3-4, 2-2 in the SEC. Gunnar Stockton's been very good. Jaden Baugh, 600 rushing yards for Florida. Do they get back to being a little bit more balanced? Do we get good DJ Lagway? 2:30 Central, 3:30 Eastern on ABC. They still think well enough of this game to put it on ABC in the afternoon.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Kirby Smart is 9-3 in regular season games coming off a bye. 2 of those losses are to Kellen DeBoer and Bama. I don't know what the other one is. I'm assuming it's to Florida in 2016, his first year when they lost. Georgia's a 7-point favorite. Georgia is a 7-point favorite in this game. Hold on. So I'm looking at this right now. There's one of the reasons I love the stuff we were talking about earlier, where it's like coaches who are at a university they either played at or went to, and it means something to them. Nobody hates Florida more, including all of Georgia's Twitter, than Kirby Smart. And it's evident every single year he goes out there. He hates Florida. And you look at some of the records. Listen, since 2016, so after his first year, overall, he is 7-2 against them, with winning 7 of his last 8. The only one they lost was in that COVID year. But the last couple of years, they've given up 20 in every single one, which is kind of shocking to me. They won by 14, 23, 22, and 27. I'm not great at math, so I'm not going to even try to add all those up real quick. 36 plus 20, 59. 86 points divided by 2 is what? 21.5 points per game. And they're a 7-point favorite. Hammer Georgia. The only reason it was close last year, and it was barely close, was because Carson Beck threw 18 interceptions. I know that they had they were down to a kid that went to Yale at quarterback for Florida, but I mean, Carson Beck was basically that too for Georgia. So I think they destroy Florida.
Yeah, Billy Gonzalez, by the way, first time seeing him this week at the podium. He's lost a lot of weight, like holy Ozempic. He looks like a different guy from the Billy Gonzalez I remember seeing from years ago. But look, Florida still got talent. I mean, we'll see how the play calling thing works. Going with the overlooking your OC and going to the quarterback's coach to be the signal caller seems a little odd. But hey, when a coach gets fired, I think everybody looks at each other in the building and goes, let's get weird. let's just do weird stuff and see what happens. And
Yeah.
look at the interim coaches that have pulled off upsets
College.
already this year. I mean, UCLA beat Penn State, UAB beat Memphis. I mean, you never know when you go to the interim. So we'll see. I'm with you though. I think I like Georgia and Georgia to cover. How about, speaking of weird, number 9 Vanderbilt at number 20 Texas. As of us recording this, Marler, Arch Manning goes down in overtime with a concussion. He's in concussion protocol. Monday, Sark was talking up Matthew Caldwell. He threw the go-ahead touchdown in overtime, the Troy transfer, but I just don't know. Even at home in Austin, if Texas has to win this game with Matthew Caldwell, I'm all over Vandy.
Yeah, I think that Vandy has to come out and Diego Pavia has to be even keel. Like, he has to figure out a way where he can come out and be in control of his emotions. I thought the way he played against against Mizzou was the worst game he's played since he's come to Vandy. Like,
yeah.
But here's what happened. They didn't have a passing touchdown, threw an interception, and then scored a late touchdown with less than 2 minutes to go to win the game. I thought Missouri outplayed Vanderbilt. I thought Missouri was a better team. I thought that Vandy did all the things they need to win. The thing that we have learned about Vandy over the past year and a half is they have they have finally learned how to win under Clark Lee. They have figured out a way how to win games, and now they go into these games with a lot more confidence. And it's not just the Bama win, really. It's that they did against Auburn, the way they played Texas close last year, and a couple of these other games where they have figured out ways to win. And what they did last week, I think, was vitally important to what's going to happen this week, because last week they finally learned how to win when they didn't play their best football. Vandy's really good when they're at their best, when they are rushing the football, able to control the line of scrimmage, able to control the clock, and able to figure out ways that, like, they can suffocate you and kind of just smother you until you make a mistake. And then next thing you know, they're up by 2 scores and you don't have a chance to get the ball back or the game's over. If he can stay in control of his emotions and in control of his, like, himself and not turn the football over, Vandy's going to win this game. Vandy's a better football team than Texas. There's by far more talent than Texas, or for Texas than Vandy. But Vandy is the more talent, or Vandy is the better team, despite having less talent.
Some Texas fans may be like, "Why are you're out on Caldwell after you were bashing Arch the last couple weeks?" But Arch played one of his best games of the year in that second half against Mississippi State. And so I thought maybe Arch, this is the game that gets him going. So look, if he plays against Vandy, we'll see. But if it's Caldwell, I don't trust him. But there's the factor, Marler, if this is a playoff elimination game for Texas. They've been playing by the skin of their teeth. They beat Kentucky, they beat Mississippi State. They've been playing with fire. If this game goes to overtime, Texas is going to win it because that's what they've been doing. But I just look at it from that way. It is home at Austin. It's their first home game in forever since they've been back in Austin.
Yeah.
That could play a factor where the fan base goes, the hell with this, Sark. We're running the table and we're going to make the playoff at 10-2. So,
but here's the thing too, and Texas fans don't want to hear this, but like I've heard this over and over. Yeah, we haven't had a home game in like a month. Welcome to the SEC, dude. Neither does A&M. A&M is currently in that situation, right? Like, but also you lost at Florida with Billy Napier as the head coach. You had to go to overtime to beat Kentucky, who was stopped at the 1 yard line. Otherwise, they would have beaten you. And then you had to get just the miracle of all miracles to pull off against Mississippi State last week. Like, all 3 of those teams are not just worse than Vanderbilt, they are significantly worse than Vanderbilt. So if Vanderbilt comes out and plays their game, but this is much less to do with Texas. Like, I'm not dogging Texas for once. Like, this is like Vandy is a good football team. And I'm honestly shocked that they're not favored.
And I'll say this, Vandy, if you kick to Ryan Niblett, you deserve to lose because that's just bad decision at this point. Our last game, Marler, it is a playoff elimination game at 6:30 Central, 7:30 Eastern on ABC. It is number 18 Oklahoma at number 14 Tennessee. Those numbers don't matter. The numbers that matter, 6-2, 6-2. The team that loses this game will take a third loss and will be out of the playoff. And I think a lot of people had both. When people were doing their playoff picks, I saw a lot of Tennessee and Oklahoma picks of people putting them in their playoff this year. So maybe not so much Tennessee. I think maybe after we saw what Joey Aguilar was, people were getting in on him. And Marler, the Vol faithful be coming after us going, because I've been talking about like my Heisman picks. Like, where's Aguilar? Put Aguilar in there. So
why?
Well, this is a game. If he throws for 304 touchdowns, like, I think he deserves to be in the conversation.
I agree. I think if he has one less loss, he's firmly in it. But, and I get the same crap from Tennessee fans all the time on my Twitter about like, you hate Aguilar. No, I think he throws too many interceptions. And then lo and behold, they go to Bama, and what happens? They lose that game. All the momentum was lost because of an interception, not just interception, but a pick six. So, you know, I think he was awesome last week, man. What was great to see last week was I think he had 396 yards, something like that, and he was 20 of 26, so he was 10 of 13, which was very, very impressive. And then, the fractions on it would be whatever his percentage was 10 of 13. I'm trying to do the mental math too much this episode, Gordy, but he was 20 of 26 in that game, 4 touchdowns, 0 turnovers. That's what they need to do in this game. What fascinates me the most about this, I cannot wait to watch it. There's nobody in the country better on script than Josh Heupel. I bring up the stat all the time. I think it's like 40 of like his like 52 games they have scored first. Going into last season, it was 33 of 38. Like they are awesome on script. Rarely do they have a 3 and out. We saw it against Alabama. This is the best defense in the country, or was the best defense in the country before last week. We saw them give up some points early to Ole Miss, who has another really good offensive-minded coach that's good on script. I cannot wait to see what this looks like. But I tell you what, as much as I love Oklahoma's defense, I worry about Tennessee's defense. The 2 starting quarterbacks most likely out for like the 11th straight year or whatever. I mean, Jermon McCoy's just not going to play, I guess, this year, which sucks. But give me the Vols at home on Halloween weekend in dark mode. Those uniforms are sick, dude. Those are sick. So I think they're going to be fired up for this. And the other thing too, man, I don't think John Mateer is that good. And I think he's got all the talent in the world, but he's very inaccurate. He holds on to the ball too long. He doesn't make the best decisions. And I think that Tennessee is going to the playoff, and I think they're going to win this weekend.
And the consistent run game for Oklahoma. I mean, Xavier Robinson had some nice runs last week, but it's just been inconsistent. And look at Tennessee. They've beaten everybody they're supposed to. They lost to Bama and Georgia. I mean, if they run the table the rest of the way, I think Tennessee deserves a chance at the playoff. And roses to Joey Aguilar. I mean, no one saw this coming. No one expected this with Nico leaving. So pretty cool there. That is our Week 10 slate. Look, it's reason to watch. It's not sexy, but
who's not? Yes, it is. Who's out watching this weekend? What do you have better to do?
Run errands, for the wife. This is the weekend to do it. But all right, Marler, good to talk with you, man. We'll do it again next week.
Sounds good, brother.
All right, it's going to do it for this edition of Locked On SEC. Thank you guys for making us your first listen every day. Thanks again to Chris Marler. And hey, a reminder to check out Locked On SEC simulcast daily on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network. For any of our listeners in Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, catch us weekdays at 11:30 a.m. Central on the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, home of the New Orleans Pelicans and home of Locked On SEC.